My unique perspective. This is my perspective. When I make claims and such, I could go to the trouble of clarifying each time that it is my perspective that leads me to the claim. But I will not always do this. For example, if I say, information is stored in our brain, I will not offer a defense of this view, because I cannot offer a defense for every view I hold, since such an attempt would ultimately spiral into relative and circular patterns. Just accept it as my bias or belief. If you disagree, use your own intellect to discern how our differences affect my claims to you. What are terms to me? A term is used to convey a concept. What a term means is only known to the one using it. In other words, terms are relative to individuals. Foil is an example of how a term can have multiple, well-accepted meanings. Love is an example of how a term's meaning is clearly relative to the individual. Ultimately, I believe that all terms are as relative to the individual as the term love is. Why am I discussing terms? Why are you choosing to perceive my ideas through the mediums I've used to express them? Put another way, presuming you are reading, why are you reading this? I imagine there are different reasons, but I would hope that one reason is that you are trying to understand what I am communicating. While total understanding of my exact thinking is impossible, getting close requires that you understand how I use terms. A good example would be if you did not understand English, and I wrote this in Japanese. You would not understand any of my terms, and there would be no transmission of my ideas. Mutually understanding the language does help, but even that understanding is imperfect. So I'm trying to clarify my use of some terms, the use of which is important for your understanding of my communication. What is religion to me? Religion is a set of beliefs one holds. My definition includes all beliefs a person holds. Beliefs on deities, self, health, colors, and such, all fall under this definition. Depending on your perspective, you may be alarmed, offended, intrigued, skeptical, dismissive, confused, or some other adjective upon reading that definition. All these adjectives are valid. I would like to offer an incomprehensive defense of why I choose to define this term as I have. The definition I have assigned to religion is one which I need for my discussion. I see no better term to fill this void. While I am aware that most Western definitions of the word religion are specific to belief in gods or origin of the universe, I do not believe such a distinction is valid on the most general level. Why do I think that all beliefs should be included in the definition, rather than the specific ones commonly referenced? All beliefs we have are formulated from information from the same source, as far as I can tell. That source is our brain. The information our brains receive is relative to its experience. Since our information is relative, the beliefs formed based on the information are also relative. When one person chooses to claim that his or her belief is not religious, as the public use the term, it is a matter of his or her relative perspective that it is not religious. To me, all beliefs are relative, so they should all be grouped together under a term. I choose the term religion. Why religion? If you define religion as an organized set of standardized beliefs, then I would say your definition is of a non-existent construct. Everyone has their own religion because no one's perspective is shared. Each perspective is unique. So I choose to use the word religion, which is commonly used to describe something non-existent, to define my concept of what religion should define. Part 1. The purpose of Part 1. Now that I've established a term to represent my broad concept, I would like to narrow down and discuss some narrower parts of the whole. I will start by making a distinction of beliefs about the finite versus beliefs about the infinite. What do I mean by finite? Finite is used as an adjective to describe something. That which is being described by finite could also be called limited, relative, not absolute, restricted, and incomplete. What do I mean by infinite? Infinite is used as an adjective to describe something. That which is being described by infinite could also be called limitless, absolute, not relative, unrestricted, total, and complete. What is a finite belief? A belief which one claims is finite. In other words, a belief which one claims is limited by his or her perceptions. It can change and is formed from finite information. One which is not claimed as infinite, absolute, or truth. Ultimately, finite beliefs run into the infinite when examined totally. So no finite belief is self-contained. It is forced to be incomplete and based on other incomplete relative beliefs. What is an infinite belief? A belief which one claims is infinite. In other words, a belief which one claims is never changing, all correct, perfect, absolute truth, self-contained, relative to nothing, derived from infinite information, infinite by nature. What is the nature of all human beliefs? All human beliefs are finite beliefs by nature. This is my opinion. I am an agnostic, meaning that I do not believe that any human knowledge, perception, is absolute. If you disagree, it is possible that the entirety of my ideas will mean little to you. What are beliefs about the finite? Some beliefs are about the finite. Beliefs relating to experienceable reality are beliefs about the finite. What are beliefs about the infinite? By the definition of infinite, all is encompassed within. Hence, all beliefs are ultimately about the infinite. What are beliefs which are about the infinite, but not about the finite? These are beliefs about the part of infinity which we do not experience. What is finite evidence? Finite evidence is evidence which is relative and based on experience. It is changeable, not fixed or perfect. What is infinite evidence? Infinite evidence is presumably predicated by one thing, absolute understanding of all of infinity. The only way to offer or to receive infinite evidence would be within an infinite context. We are not in an infinite context. Can there be finite evidence for finite beliefs about the finite? Evidence for the finite belief would be finite, relative. The belief is about the finite and relative. The finite can be experienced, so this would be a person offering a relative belief and defending it with a relative interpretation of relative information. This seems congruous. If I were to say that water is different from stone, I could make this claim and offer experiential evidence for it. Of course, it would be a relative claim, so no information would change the belief. Can there be finite evidence for finite beliefs about the infinite? The infinite is made up of the finite and everything else. It would seem that we already discussed the finite beliefs about the finite part of the infinite. All that is left is to discuss the other part of the infinite. The answer to this question is two-part. One for the finite belief about the finite, one for the finite belief about the infinite. Can there be finite evidence for finite beliefs about the infinite, but not about the finite? Evidence for the finite belief would be finite, relative. The belief is about the infinite, which is not experienced. What we have here is a belief about that which cannot be experienced based off evidence which can be experienced. A poor example would be if the infinite is a lion and the finite is a hair on the lion. If one only experienced the hair, one could create many finite beliefs about the inexperienced infinite, such as that the unexperienced infinite is a never-ending hair. However, no amount of understanding the hair would yield information about the rest of the lion. Information is garnered only through experience. However, speculations are often made. We do this all the time. Many have the finite belief about the inexperienced reality of having lots of money, and that such a reality would make them happy. Without experiencing this potential part of infinity, the person will not know if their belief is accurate. It is within this category that our dreams lie. We have a belief about a part of infinity not yet experienced, and we seek it. We form these beliefs, and they could even turn out to be correct, but there is no way to see if the belief is accurate without experience, without turning the infinite outside the finite into the finite. It is possible to claim that this type of belief can be about something which cannot be experienced at all versus one which has yet to be experienced. I see no way to prove that an experience cannot be experienced, so I will ignore this perceived distinction. Can there be infinite evidence for beliefs? No, there cannot. Humans cannot experience or perceive infinity, so they do not have any infinite evidence. Hence, it does not matter what the infinite belief is about, there is not infinite evidence. What is an example of a complex belief? Just for fun. Gravity is an example of a belief which many hold. On some level, the belief is about the finite, experienceable gravity. We can measure its effects and attempt to define the phenomenon as we observe it. However, some also hold beliefs about gravity, which may not be experienceable. For example, one could believe that gravity operates everywhere the same. This is not experienceable, at this time anyway. We cannot experience everywhere. This belief is not justifiable, yet many hold it. I'm not saying that there is no logic to the belief, but ultimately the logic is insufficient to the claim. So the complex concept of gravity can be seen as a belief about the finite and also about the infinite. How would most organized religions be classified? There would be either a finite belief about an infinite belief, or there would be an infinite belief about an infinite belief. What about a finite belief and an infinite belief? This is illogical because of the infinite belief. There can be no evidence for an infinite belief. To have a finite belief in something for which there can be no evidence seems imprudent and illogical to me. It would be the same as me saying that I believe there is an unperceivable, outside of dimensions, liquid solid. How can you disprove it? You can't. How can I prove it? I cannot. Could it be true? Yes. Why would you believe me? You would not. Hopefully, not because of the seeming foolishness of the concept of my claim, but because there is no reason to believe me. I can offer no evidence. Many religions do the same. They are an infinite claim. There's no way for the infinite claim to be justified. To believe it is illogical. What about an infinite belief in an infinite belief? Few people hold these beliefs knowingly. They are illogical. As far as I've experienced, there is no such thing as a human being having an infinite belief. It would require infinite experience, and the person would not be a human as I know them. What of the evidence? Holy texts, prophecies, archaeology. Why does this evidence not matter? This is all finite evidence. It could be used for finite claims about the finite, or even if you choose, for claims about the inexperienced infinite. However, it cannot be used for infinite claims. Hence, all such evidence is worthless for religions, as far as logic dictates. What about a conclusion? If there is a God, it would seem to me that this God would not try to make infinite claims to non-infinite entities, or at least entities which are currently not perceiving infinitely. To make a claim which cannot be proven is futile. Even if someone were to attempt or to accept the claim, they would be accepting it through a failure in logic. When I look at the reality I perceive, I do not see a lack of logic. It seems as if the God who designed the logical system would not make illogical claims. As I observe the reality around me, I do believe that there is more outside this reality, and I do believe that this reality was designed. I'm a deist. I believe that there is something outside this reality which explains this reality. However, I do not believe that that which is outside our reality makes any claims within our reality. I hold these beliefs in a finite fashion. They could change based on new information.